If I should wake this tonight, no, there is nothing left to hold. Lying here beneath this dark, there is nothing left to love, and it takes its toll. And it takes its toll.
Hey, sorry for the delay. You know, if I'm on time, that means there's something wrong with Eve. Welcome in, everybody. Put a one in the chat if you can hear me before I get started. I want to make sure everything is going smoothly going forward because I have had a shit show of a time trying to get everything put together today for you guys. I know that I have not covered the Karen Reed case very much, but as you know, I am very, very active on Twitter, or X as they now call it. Hey, Brooke, good to see you. I'm going to make sure that my chat, my comments are working today. Yes, they are. All right. All right, we're rolling. All right, so if you don't know who Karen Reed is and the murder of John Okeefe, let's just get into it. I'm going to wait for some more people to come in because I know that I was obviously late and change the timing of it. But I do know that there's some people that were wanting to join in. Please, after this live, if you don't mind going over and visiting these two creators that are going to also be doing a live here. I think one of them's about to go live, but, you know, catch the replay. And then at 7 p.m., they're going to go live. Let me just play this little video for you so that you can see who they are. I'm sure a lot of people know who they are. Ready? And then we'll jump into the nitty gritty of this Karen Reed case.
Welcome.
The only thing that he used to intimidate anyone were people who were denying factual things that could implicate them in getting in trouble. He was simply intimidating people with the truth. You cannot intimidate innocent people with the truth. It can't be done. They cannot be intimidated by the truth.
If you have nothing to hide and everything is running tip top, why would you be angry about an independent audit? If you have nothing to hide and you're doing things by the books, the rules, then what is the problem?
That is what I think. So that was LTL True Crime Podcast and The Glare. They have been doing an excellent job at covering the Karen Reed case as well as the nitty gritty of why Turtle Boy is kind of involved in this and what he's about. Yeah, The Glare, you know, I've had my opinions about the glare in the past on other stuff. But you know what? At the end of the day, um, I'm tired of the back and forth between creators if they're doing a good job and they're not literally harming anyone. If they hurt their feelings, that is not what I would consider harming anyone. um, I just don't care about all that drama. If they're doing a great job, which they both are doing, I support them and I support the Free Karen Reed movement. There is a lot of, um, in my opinion, corruption, hence the FBI probe that is being done on the district attorney's office for Norfolk County, where um, Karen and John are from, and all of the people that are surrounding this case. So, if you're not familiar with the Karen Reed case, I'm going to show you the very beginning from start to where we are now to the best that I can, to the best of my ability. And then how a blogger, AKA award winning journalist, Turtle Boy, got involved in all of it. So we're just going from, again, start to where we are now, and then what's to be expected. Tomorrow there is a hearing for Karen Reed. I think it's at, what was it, 9:30 or 10:30? I'll have to double check with that. I'm just been so excited that it's here finally. Oh my God. If you haven't followed me on Twitter, please do so if you feel so inclined. It's EVP Talk, at EVP Talk. And I have been, again, commenting every day on this case since I became aware of it. So let's just start from the beginning, guys. Let's just go through the nitty gritty, because I think it's a huge deal, not only because I feel like someone, Karen Reed, is being framed and there is a cover up going on within law enforcement who is potentially involved in the murder of her boyfriend, Karen Reed's boyfriend, John Okeefe. But there is a lot of things that you can learn from this case regarding how to be involved in your community. How can we prevent, and how can you prevent corruption from spreading as much as it has, in my opinion, in this case, and what you can do to find those things, right? People forget very, very quickly that you have a lot of power in your own town. You have a lot of power to see who is running what show, where the finances are going. You can hold people accountable for not stepping up to the plate in your community as well. And it's important that you do that, because if you don't, or if you're not aware of it, then you're going to have potentially an issue with maybe you or a family member or a loved one or someone in the community who is literally framed for a murder. Hey, Mr. Eve. If anybody doesn't know, and if you're new here, Mr. Eve is my hubby, and he is very supportive. And again, thank you, Mr. Eve, for giving me this time to cover the Karen Reed case. He has been hearing about it just as much as I have, which he's probably not as excited, but I am. So again, let's just start from the beginning. I'm going to play the very first, to my knowledge, the very first coverage of that night, January 29th, 2022, into the wee hours of the morning. John Okeefe was laying in front of a fellow Boston police officer's home, Brian Albert, dead. Karen Reed was charged with, I believe, manslaughter at first, and then was upgraded to murder. And here we go. Shit, I don't think it's working. Hold on.
We now know that the body of a man found outside a home in Canton is that of a Boston police officer. Officer John Okeefe, who was off duty, was found dead on Fairview Road yesterday morning in front of a friend's house. State police were at the scene last night investigating this. At this point, it's not clear how he died. An autopsy is set for tomorrow. Okeefe was a 16-year veteran of the Boston Police Department. The department released a statement on the death of Officer Okeefe, which reads in part, "John will be greatly missed by his friends and colleagues here at the Boston Police Department as we send our heartfelt condolences to his family and loved ones during this difficult time."
All right, so that was the first video that I have seen on the coverage of, a man found in the snow, and then they confirmed that it was John O'Keefe. Ironically, and this is going to play a part later, I promise. There's not many pictures or videos except for just the one or two that I have seen about, the actual crime scene where John was found. And I think that has a lot to do with how the investigation was intentionally ran. So you're going to hear a lot about, the CERT team, which is Massachusetts State Police. They have there's different types of investigative bodies within this law enforcement here in Massachusetts, and there was a hold off on certain things in certain groups, like the CERT team. Why? And those little things are going to add up here shortly. So, why, before I get started on the next point, why is this such a big deal? What made everyone in Canton, Massachusetts, which is where this happened at, and in Norfolk County, why is everybody up in arms about a potential cover-up? Why would they do this? Again, John O'Keefe was a Boston police officer. He's right here. This is Karen Reed, the one being charged and potentially framed for his murder. Why would they do this? Why would they want to cover up for him and make her guilty? Well, it's because on the front lawn, again, Brian Albert, fellow PD, it was his home. He was found in the snow in his front lawn, and kind of like a little embankment. Nobody wants to be involved. Another police officer being involved in the death of their fellow police officer. That's not going to happen. So then what really did happen? And what are they saying Karen did? Well, Karen allegedly hit John O'Keefe with her Lexus after a night of drinking at the bar and then being invited back to Brian Albert's home to keep the party going. Okay, so now that the basics are out there, because a lot of my followers do not know a lot about this case except for when I blabber on about it for a short amount of time. So all of the key players, who are the key players? Brian Albert, homeowner, all right? And then his wife. Her name just blanked out. But he has a brother named Chris Albert. So Brian Albert has a brother named Chris Albert who is on, he is involved in the community. Let's just say that. He has actually killed a person by hitting them with his car. The irony, isn't it? It was back in the 90s. He had hit a immigrant. He came over from, I can't remember exactly what the country is, but he was trying to get a better life, doing great things. And Chris Albert more than likely was drunk, even though it's very hard to find the nitty gritty on what happened. But I'm pretty sure he had been drinking. Okay, let's just say that. And hit an innocent man and killed him and spent, I believe, 6 months in jail. And that was that. That was that. Wow. Okay. So that's not a good start, Chris. Chris also has a brother named Kevin Albert. We're going to get into that. So here we go. We already have all of these people that are very important and pretty much close to John in a sense, just from the law enforcement aspect. And then you have Chris Albert, who is involved in local city government, which we will cover that as well. The Young Jerks is a great creator on YouTube who covers more of the locality issues, especially since Chris Albert is on the board there in Canton. So, and we'll get into that in just a second. But he's a great source to go get nitty gritty details if you would like. So who is these people right here? Ken Mello is a special prosecutor. Michael Proctor from the Massachusetts State Police. Just know the names, okay? Jen McCabe, my fucking favorite person in the world. Jen McCabe, in-law. Chris Albert, as I said before. And then this is the district attorney, Michael Morrissey. He is a very important key in this as well, because you're going to hear here in a minute him come out and say and speak about the accusations, as he calls it, about this man right here. If you don't know who he is, his name is Turtle Boy, a.k.a. Aiden Kearney, a.k.a. Doc, etc. So this guy is actually one of the most, in my opinion, the most important person to know about and to understand why he is part of this. He is the person who blogged about this entire case and got everyone interested. Like, without this guy right here, aka Turtle Boy, we wouldn't know shit, and nobody would really bat an eye, in my opinion, nor would they understand the corruption that is going on outside of this case in their town. And he's not even from Canton. He's not even from, I don't even think he's from the county. I'm not really sure. I can't remember. But dude's important. But guess what? He's in jail. Or he was. I think he's out now. But the reason why he was in jail was because he was pushing all of that information that he was covering and uncovering about this potential cover-up, which I believe this is a cover-up. But I'll let you decide for yourself. He was indicted on 16 felony charges of witness intimidation and wiretapping. And then also got kind of set up, in my opinion, with an ex-girlfriend. And that is a fucking wild story, guys. Holy shit. But he was erroneously put in jail for assault and battery, even though there was no proof of one. So do you see how hardcore these people are not only protecting themselves from scrutiny and potentially facing jail time, but they will go after anybody. When I tell you they will go after anyone, they will. And they have, and they continue to do so. Now, the other flip side about Aiden right here, I call him Doc. He has an interesting way of getting points across journalistically, if you will. He is kind of one of those in-your-face ballsy types, and he doesn't let things go when you're in the wrong, which tells me that he is very aware of the bullshit going on in Norfolk County and was expecting it. And sometimes you need those journalists who have a set of hairy boys to get the information and to also hold them accountable. But that's also created some enemies, all right? So those enemies are aiding they are aiding these people who are trying to potentially frame Karen Reed. All right. So How did this all come about? Why did they say Karen did it? The Lexus. The Lexus did it. Well, let's go over the documents. So Trooper Michael Proctor right here is basically the lead of all of this investigative bullshit. And in my opinion, one of the worst, horrifically handled investigations I've ever seen in my life. I'm talking putting John O'Keefe's blood in solo cups. I'm talking about not correctly documenting everyone's names, spelling them correctly, acting as if he doesn't know these people very well, at least these right here, these three. Acting as if they've never met before when he's in wedding photos. It's bad. All right. Bill says, hold on, I'm going to read chat real quick. Bill says, all he was a shrill for the defense, spewing out what the defense gave him. He was a shrill for the defense, Bill. Oh, man. You think so? Let us know. Let us know the proof on that. Go ahead and send that to me, and then I would be more than happy to show that proof to the world. I'm going to humbly disagree with you, Bill. Let's continue. So I'm going to pull up this document here of the probable cause. And all of the reports that he has, that he did, as well as you're going to hear Detective Lieutenant Brian Tully. You're going to hear some other names that aren't as crucial as, Proctor, et cetera, et cetera. But we need to go through the actual probable cause and explain how they got to this consensus that Karen hit him with a Lexus and all of these broken taillight pieces when there's proof otherwise. That is a fact. I'm pulling up the probable cause. I like to go through, as boring as it seems, I like to go through these because it shows you that I'm not just making it up and pulling it out of my ass. And that if I misunderstand or misconstrue something, the chat can call me out on it, or whoever's watching that is more knowledgeable can call me out on it. And then I'll correct it. All right. So this is from Michael Proctor. You remember him. This one right here. On January 29, 2022 at 6:04 a.m., the Canton Police Department received a 911 call for a male party, John O'Keefe, discovered unresponsive outside of 34 Fairview Road. As I do, I like my maps, y'all. Now, could I easily pull this up on other people's stuff? Of course. I'm not going to do that, though. You know me, I like to do it all from scratch so that you can see the process. 34 Fairview Road, Canton, Massachusetts. Nice house. This is Brian Albert's house. Notice that there is, there's a Ford Edge. Everybody see it? Right there. This is going to be some crucial information. Everybody seems to drive a damn Ford Edge over there in Norfolk County. So where was John O'Keefe found? He was found in a snow embankment. Right there. And again, that's Brian Albert's house. We're going to get into how did he get over there in the first place and all that stuff here in a minute. the probable cause will, and the interview with Jen McCabe and everybody else will explain that. So I wanted to skip all that stuff first. But I just wanted you to get a visual. All right. Okay, so Michael Proctor states again, John O'Keefe was discovered unresponsive outside of 30 feet Fairview Road. Canton Police, Fire, and EMS responded to the scene, and Canton Fire and EMS were dispatched to, again, 34 Fairview Road for an unresponsive male discovered outside in the snow, and CPR was in progress. Canton EMS transported the victim to Good Samaritan Hospital, where he was determined to be deceased. Prior to being discovered, the victim was at Waterfall Bar and then traveled to 34 Fairview Road for a gathering with friends. Present at the Waterfall Bar and the residence on Fairview Road was Jennifer McCabe. We remember Jennifer. This lovely bunch of oats. Nancy B., the house no authority went into. Correct. So important, isn't it? The house that not even the owner had the common courtesy to walk outside and go, oh my gosh, how horrible is this? What can I do to help? What can I answer for you? Nothing. He was asleep, allegedly. Hims was asleep, minding his own business, right? While Jennifer McCabe was busy as a bee. Matter of fact, she never went to sleep that night. Seems to be pacing around her floor. But hang tight. I'm really breaking it down for the people who on my channel don't watch this or haven't followed it. So, excuse me. Again, prior to being discovered, the victim was at Waterfall Bar, which is, I think, 6 minutes away, and then traveled to 34 Fairview Road for a gathering with friends. Present at the Waterfall Bar and the residence on Fairview Road was Jennifer McCabe. Sergeant Bukaki, that's what we're going to call him. I know that's kind of disgusting, but it's easier than saying Buchanan. And I met with Jennifer at 12 Country Lane, which is where she resides, with her husband, on January 29th at 11:30 a.m. She agreed to speak with investigators. How sweet. Thank you for your cooperation, Jen. Jennifer and her husband, Matthew McCabe, arrived at the Waterfall Bar in Canton at 9 p.m. on Friday, January 28th. So the night before, they were all at the Waterfall Bar. Karen and John have not gotten to here yet. Okay. So at the Waterfall, they met a group of friends for some drinks, food, and watched a live band. At 11 p.m., John O'Keefe and Karen Reed enter the Waterfall Bar from C.F. McCarthy's bar, which is just down the way. Jennifer and John have been friends for a long time. So Jennifer McCabe, again, is friends with John for a very long time, knows him very well. Keep that in mind. John walked into the Waterfall wearing a baseball hat, jeans, and sneakers. Karen had not met Jennifer, by the way. And they had been dating. Karen and John had been dating for 2 years. Karen walked into the bar holding a drinking glass with a vodka mixed drink inside. She left C.F. McCarthy's with Jennifer. That she left C.F. McCarthy's with. That is very important. So she's already saying, yeah, does that already sound sus? Put a sus sticker in the chat. Red flags everywhere. Absolutely. Brooke, thank you for modding for me today. I appreciate you. So they make sure that is a very, from the jump, this is the second page of this probable, or this interview, okay? Which I think is ironic. Why would that be such a thing to remember? from the jump. Again, this interview happened at 11 a.m.? Is that what it said? Not a very long time to get your wits about you after not sleeping at all, right? And then finding your friend that you've known for a very long time in the snow in your in-laws, on your in-laws' front lawn. So remember the drinking glass with the vodka mixed drink inside. So Jennifer stated there were no arguments amongst Karen and John or anyone else inside of the waterfall. Nobody was fighting. Everybody was cool. Jennifer stated John and Karen did not appear to be overly intoxicated when they arrived. As the band was cleaning up, Brian invited everyone back to his house at 34 Fairview Road, as we all just saw on the Google Maps. As everyone began to leave the waterfall, Jennifer observed John and Karen leave together. John texted Jennifer at 12:14 a.m. asking where to, because remember, he was invited back to Brian Albert's home to party it up. Jennifer responded to John's text with the address 34 Fairview, and Jennifer spoke with John at 12:14 a.m. and provided him the address. At 12:18, John called Jennifer to inquire where exactly the house was on Fairview Road. Jennifer observed a large black SUV on the street outside of the house and went to the front door. Let me repeat that. While at 34 Fairview Road, Jennifer observed a large black SUV on the street outside of the house and went to the front door. The black SUV did not pull into the driveway, but parked on the street by the entrance of the driveway. Jennifer observed the black SUV parked out front and texted John, "Hello? Hello?" At 12:45, right? 12:40, hello, where are you? That's important. 12:45, hello. I wonder how many times she called him. I wonder if anybody has done that very hard work. Well, I can tell you, they have. Do you remember my friend Sleuthy Goosey from Twitter? My friend? The one that originally was on Michael Vaughn's case that I cover extensively? Well, she did an amazing job at creating a communications timeline regarding Jennifer McCabe. Isn't that wonderful? I think it is. I'm going to pull it up. And I'm sorry, guys, I am recovering from being sick. I'm very, very sick. I have been sick for 3 days or 4 days. I was sick before that about 2 weeks ago. So I just feel like that's all I am is sick. So here is the communications between Jennifer McCabe and some others that you'll hear about that I'm going to reference, okay? It's going to be important. All right. So when Jennifer sent the last text to John, she observed the black SUV driveway and assumed Karen and John went home. Jennifer stated John did not reply to any of her text messages. Jennifer states she first observed the vehicle parked on the street by the driveway, facing in the directions toward Chapman Street, and I'll show you that here later. Jennifer then observed the vehicle travel along the road towards the left side of the property in the area of where John was discovered in the morning. Jennifer and her husband left the residence at approximately 1:30 a.m. and went home. So she said that she leaves at 1:30 and went home. So, do you think she would have more than likely saw John O'Keefe in the snow at 1:30 a.m.? What do you think? To me, I'd be like, yeah, if he was there, for sure. You don't look around you when you're going out into the car, especially as a woman, even in your own neighborhood. I don't know how it is in Canton, Massachusetts, but I don't care. I could be in the safest city in the world. I'm looking around to see if there's any wackadoodles that wants to take my money, what little I have, what little change I have. Right? So she didn't see nothing though. A lot of people did not see what the Commonwealth, which is the district attorney's office who's charged Karen, they don't see it that way. So they see it. It doesn't matter who didn't see anything. It's about what they didn't report accurately in their investigation. That seems to be not only unfounded, but incorrectly done on a procedural level. How about that? Anyway, so Karen arrived at Jennifer's house in her black Lexus SUV. Jennifer stated that she drove Karen's car back to John's house when they were looking for John, by the way. I think I skipped something. I'm sorry. Let me just start fresh. At 4:50, no, I did skip it. I'm sorry. At 4:53 a.m. on January 29th, Jennifer received a call from John's niece, Kaylee. Karen was on the phone, hysterical and looking for John. Karen told Jennifer that she went home alone last night and last saw John at the Waterfall Bar, and Jennifer had to correct Karen and told her they left the Waterfall Bar together and then went to 34 Fairview. People don't like to go over this basic stuff because it's been like 2 years, right? But this is so fucking crucial to me, y'all. Jennifer had to correct Karen and told her, now wait a minute. They left the Waterfall Bar together and then went to 34 Fairview Road. So Karen, I don't think, was thinking about going over there. She just knows that John was there when she dropped him off. Why are you correcting her? Hey, Nicole, good to see you. Or Sleuthy, good to see you. She said, that's why no one knows the basic stuff. Right. Absolutely. And, you know, I have been fighting for my life out there in Twitter land, not really fighting for my life, but owning those bastards who do not take the time to even know the basics of the court documents that are in the documents. And you know what's even worse than that, guys? It's the ones that are probably complicit in the crime and murder of John O'Keefe. That's the wildest thing. Chris Albert is sitting here fighting for his life, not understanding that the human DNA or the hair that was found on the bumper, which is really strange to me, that they used in the probable cause against Karen to just tie that whole thing together, that she hit him with her Lexus, that she hit him with her Lexus. It wasn't even hair. It wasn't even hair, human hair. Not at all. Wasn't even hair at all. Anyway, we'll get to that. It's been wild. So Jennifer's correcting Karen, like, now, get your story straight, ma'am. I know I have. Karen arrived at Jennifer's house in her black Lexus SUV, says Jennifer. She states that she drove Karen's car back to John's house where Carrie Roberts met them. While driving back to John's house, Karen stated to Jennifer, could I have hit him? Did I hit him? Now, they don't want to put the question mark on there because even Karen's like, it was a question. Karen also told Jennifer about a broken taillight on her black SUV. And then once Karen, Jennifer, and Carrie arrived at John's house, They looked at the broken taillight. Jennifer stated she observed a broken, cracked right tail light to Karen's SUV. I'm going to go ahead and stop here because I want to save some time just on this specific thing. Like I want to get it into everyone's head that damn cracked tail light happened before the search for John Okeefe in the morning of January 29th. All right. Court TV has the footage kind of enhanced, I think. So I'm just going to, let's just Google it. Karen Reed, cracked taillight. Let's just see what happens. Remember, we're going to the basics. Now, of course, Aiden Kearney, a.k.a. Turtle Boy, a.k.a. Doc, does an extensive, he was the one that helped bring this all to light, as I said. But we're going to not go there right now. Okay, he does great stuff. But we're not going to go there because the trolls are going to come in and want to hate on Aiden when it's not about him right now, even though he is unfortunately being persecuted for all of this shit for covering this. I just want to stay away from it for the moment. Okay. So here we go.
Let's talk about the case that we're talking about tonight, which is in Massachusetts. The defendant was the girlfriend of the victim. The victim, a Boston police officer, dead in a snowbank. She's accused of the murder, striking him with her car.
This video, 5 a.m., a little bit before 5 a.m., Ring camera.
Okay. So here is the camera footage of her backing out with her Lexus to go search for John because she left him there. When John got out of the car and, in my opinion, went into the house, even though the others say otherwise, the witnesses never saw him enter the home. Karen goes home. Nobody sees John in the lawn. Nobody sees John anywhere. But Karen goes home because she's pissed. She's been waiting and waiting. John was supposed to give her the heads up and say, hey, come on in or whatever. And he never did. He never answered the phone calls. So she went home and she was pissed. And she left a voicemail for John. Sure did. But this is what happened when she woke up to go find him.
Camera video from the victim's home where his girlfriend, Reed, was staying the night. So this is what the video, here it is, Benny. So she's pulling out in the black SUV. And that's the victim's SUV parked. And the defense says that she makes contact, hits the victim's SUV right there, damaging that back right passenger side tail light. And they also claim you can see, the victim's SUV move, indicating that there was a collision. And then as she pulls away,
I want the people who are here and the people who are going to be watching this later, because a lot of my followers are morning people, so they're not here right now. But if you're watching the replay, does that look like a shattered taillight? Just be honest. I mean, you don't have to analyze it much. Does it look like a shattered taillight? Yes or no? I'm going to go ahead and say no. But it's very obvious that that Lexus backed up into John's SUV. Negative, Ghost Rider. Negative. Now, cracked for sure. It looks a little weird right there, but it isn't shattered. And I want people to know that, these covers on these taillights are very strong. They're not like, our cars back in the 90s where you looked at it and it cracked and, So shattered taillight, you would have to be going pretty fast, in my opinion, to get one of those or to hit something that's very solid that would make it give in and break and shatter. Because it is cold outside. But nah, that ain't shattered. Cracked, sure.
They say that you can tell there's missing parts.
And this is why I think it's cracked, because you see this one's fully lit. I mean, people have gone over this, but I just like breaking it down again. Yeah, that's something happened there. Definitely not hitting in reverse at 24 miles an hour while holding a cocktail glass bent over in an odd way that even I couldn't recreate, even in my skinniest and slimmest days. Not going to happen.
Of the tail light cover.
Right. But it would have been missing if it was a result of striking Officer Okeefe at that time also. Here's a closer look at it. Once again, as we're backing up here, keep your eye and see if you see any movement here from the other car. It's very possible.
Yeah,
it's very possible.
Prosecution does
Here from the other car. It's very possible. It's very possible.
Prosecution doesn't say there's.
Sir, it's very possible. It's what happened. That accusation is wild. My God. Yes, a lot of people do conjecture, and that's fine. But when it's just downright outrageous, and you have experts who are like, no, this did not happen this way. Or when expert testimony comes from people who fail their recertifications. I mean, you've got to outweigh what the defense is presenting and then what is the prosecution presenting. And if one looks better than the other, you're going to go with the better one. So yeah, she hit John's car, not John Okeefe. Because you're going to hear the shattered taillight pieces, sprinkle, sprinkle, is going to be found all over John. His clothes, shoes, excuse me. They didn't find the other shoe until the CERT team arrived the next, 2 days? It gets worse. But if she hit him at 12, what was it? When did she arrive? 12, after 12:15, if you will. How can she have a perfectly preserved taillight until she cracked it at 5 in the morning? Keep that in mind. This right here was like, oh my, Karen didn't do this. Like, absolutely did not do this. But there's another thing that said, oh, she really didn't do this. And I'll explain that
If
in a
the
minute.
whole case was, how did the tail light get broken? You've got reasonable doubt right there.
Reasonable doubt, yes.
You've
Thank
got reasonable
you.
doubt right there, because you can't tell, but it's a very reasonable thing that it.
Reasonable doubt. It's so unreasonable. It is so unreasonable to charge this woman with murder. Because that right there should have been
You could have
it.
broken that tail light.
Yeah, that should have been a done deal. Look, the prosecution ethically has their job is to, when they are aware of information that comes through, they're supposed to provide that not only to the courts, but act accordingly on that information. It is extremely unethical to try to make your whoever you're charging, the defendant, look worse, or prevent things coming to light that make them look favorable. You're not supposed to do that. It's unethical. You could get your license taken away. You could no longer practice because of it. You could get sued for it. Bill says, Eve, since the trial has not happened, how can you claim to know all the evidence? And honestly, I don't care if she is innocent or guilty. How can I claim to know all of the evidence? Well, I'm not claiming that I know it all, but I'm claiming what's in the actual records, in the court records. It's entered in as evidence. It's obviously evidence. So you don't have to know it all, but you can know what's on it, what's entered. That's what matters. And so reasonableness would say that I am conjecturing, yes, but did you not see the video, which is evidence and proof that she did not have a shattered taillight that was sprinkle all over John's clothes? That's in the probable cause. That right there should have been done. Bye, Karen. Sorry about that. I could understand if you would like to recoup some of the money that you've lost so that you can go grieve your boyfriend's death. That would be the right thing to do. But that's not what happened, right? What's here ain't enough and contradicts. Yeah, I mean, that alone. But there's so much more, you know? But I want the viewers to make their own decisions. I don't want to sway anyone. I want you to just know what's the facts. And then I can also put my 2 cents in because it's my channel. So Carrie Roberts, who the hell is Carrie Roberts? Well, let's get into it. So Jennifer told Karen to come to her house after she learned I can't find him, right? And after Jennifer corrects Karen about being at the bar and then going to 34 Fairview, Brian Albert's house. So Karen arrived at Jennifer's house in the black SUV. Jennifer states she drove Karen's car back to John's house where Carrie Roberts met them. While driving back to John's house, Karen stated to Jennifer, "Could I have hit him? Did I hit him?" Karen also told Jennifer about a broken taillight on her black SUV. So here's where the broken taillight comes into play. You just saw what happened. I don't have to repeat it. So once Karen, Jennifer, and Carrie arrived at John's house, they looked at the broken taillight. Jennifer stated she observed a broken, cracked right taillight to Karen's SUV. So she's aware of this broken taillight because Karen told them. Obviously. And I don't even know if that's 100% true. I think Karen was freaking the hell out, right? Plus, she had been drinking and scared, in my opinion. So Jennifer's like, in my opinion, Jennifer's like, okay, there's that cracked taillight. Could she have? Ooh, great. I'm going to use that, right? So Jennifer and Karen got into Carrie's vehicle, which I'm very confused as to why the hell they wanted Karen to meet up with Carrie and Jennifer and then all go ride together. I would just think the more the merrier, like everybody just call each other and try to figure it out. But no, we're going to meet up together and keep all eyes on Karen and all ears on Karen. Because if she's with us and we're driving her, we get to control her movements. You know? We'll have to go take her where she wants to go. We can persuade where to look, in my opinion. So they went into Carrie's vehicle to go look for John. Karen was in the back seat and Jennifer sat in the front passenger seat. Jennifer described the weather at this time as snowing heavily. Jennifer stated the first place they went to look for John was at 34 Fairview Road. They traveled down Chapman Street and took a right onto Fairview. Just prior to the front yard at 34 Fairview is a group of trees on the left side of the road. Immediately passing the group of trees, Karen stated, "I see him." Jennifer stated with the heavy snow, her and Carrie couldn't see John. Oh man, they're really blind, y'all. Blind as bats. But Karen isn't. Real quick. Sleuthy says, Proctor already thought Karen hit him before he even saw her car. Bingo. He called the tow before he even showed up at Karen's parents' house. So he had no idea if there was damage. Well, he shouldn't know, right? Exactly. He shouldn't know. Right? So Karen sees him immediately, but they're like, I don't see him. Jennifer stated with the heavy snow, her and Carrie could not see John and did not know what Karen was talking about. The three exited the vehicle. Carrie began wiping snow off of John, and Jennifer calls 911, and Karen laid on top of him for warmth and stated, oh my God, did I hit him? We're going to have to pause for a second and play the 911 call that was on John O'Keefe's voicemail as Karen was trying to call him, but it went to voicemail. She drops her phone. We'll get there. And we get to hear Jen McCabe's version of the 911 call and what she said and what Carrie said to Karen. That bitch. So again, oh my God, did I hit him? With no question mark here. John was discovered on the left side of the property, the area where Karen's SUV was last seen earlier that night, with approximately 6 inches of snow covering him. You're going to sit there and tell me 6 inches of snow was on that man and Karen was like, I see him. There wasn't even that amount of snow to be collected from midnight to when they found him. So, Wrong. So Carrie began to wipe snow off of John. So there's her DNA. Jennifer called 911 and Karen laid on top of him for warmth and said, oh my God, did I hit him? That is important. The three exited the vehicle? Really? Huh. They did, huh? All right. So the area where Karen's SUV was last seen earlier that night with approximately 6 inches of snow covering him, Jennifer stated Karen began mouth to mouth, and when she discovered John's blood on her face, she stated, oh my God, do I have my period? Now, I'm not going to be able to tell you on exactly what that meant. And I don't really care. I don't believe that. I just don't. Jeep says, I know very little about this case, but even I call bullshit. Jeep, I did a lot of this for you because I knew that you would love this case if you really knew the nitty gritty and you would appreciate the corruption side of things because of other cases that I cover and that we have spoken on extensively. So why would she even say that? I don't know. If anybody has a good reason besides Mr. Slaughter in the chat, because he just thinks Karen's guilty, then let me know, because I just can't wrap my head around it. So I don't believe that shit. Oh my God, do I have my period? I just don't. Using a cell phone application called Live360, Jennifer was able to provide the following times. How ironic. She gives up the Live360 information, but damn it, she does not want to give up her own phone, huh? 5:39 a.m., Karen arrived at the McCabe's residence. 5:46, Jennifer, Karen, and Carrie arrive at John O'Keefe's house. And 5:53 a.m., the three leave John O'Keefe's house. And 6:04 a.m., they discover John outside of 34 Fairview. Now, let me go ahead and say they didn't. Karen did. So that is the interview from, again, Michael Proctor. This is the interview with Jen McCabe at her home. Vehicle homicide. See that? April 6, 2022. So let's listen to the 911 call before I get into the probable cause. This is just like, whoa, it pisses me off a little bit. Need to calm down before I get in there to explain it clearly. Nicole says, to make Karen look like a whack job, to make Karen look like she was still drunk, like, right. It actually makes Jen McCabe look like a psychopath for her to say that that's what Karen said. Because Jen McCabe likes to spew a lot of bullshit that didn't happen in this interview, in her witness testimony. So I have it on my channel. Let me just pull it up. Hold on. Of the 911 voicemail that shows what Carrie Roberts and Jen McCabe, how they were acting. And then you could also hear Karen freaking out when she finds John. It's kind of disturbing, but it needs to be heard. And also, you're going to be a little mad, like I was. All right, give me just a second. Pulling it up now. This is Turtle Boy's channel. His review is awesome.
All right. What's up, Turtle Rider? Important thing. So what we're going to do right now is a crash course review of the entire 911 call. Again, on the night of, or on the morning of January 29th, 2022, 3 women. Carrie Roberts was driving. Jennifer McCabe was
I
shooting
love
shotgun,
his shirt.
and Karen Reed was in the back seat. Went out looking. She's the only one that sees mental audio, in which Karen Reed talking about them. But in this one, they want to dismiss it because it makes their girl look incredibly, incredibly guilty. So let's bring it up. Let's play this tape from the beginning and do what we couldn't do the other night because of the pizza delivery guy. Here we go. So that's, you hear the windshield wipers there. You hear Karen Reed in the background yelling, Carrie, Carrie. That is a woman in trauma who doesn't know what else to say. I've been in this position before. You're kind of looking at your friends like, do something, say something. There's got to be something we can do. We saved this person's life.
Wait, I'm sorry. I just saw chat. You said no sound? Really?
There's got to be something that we can do. Karen Reed is not an actress. She's a financial whatever. She messes with your money. She is not Julia Roberts. So if this is an act, this is a world-class act that she's putting on right here.
Yes, I need someone to see 34th Fairview Road, Vietnam. There's a man passed out in the snow.
So this is Jen.
That was Jen McCabe. There's a man passed out in the snow. That's how she's going to talk about her long-term friend that she invited over the night before. That is cold as ice, girl.
It's 34th Fairview Road, Vietnam. There's a man passed out in the snow.
So this is Jennifer McCabe. She says she's at 34 Fairview Road. And by the way, on the official police report, it actually says 32 Fairview Road. She says 34 Fairview Road at least 3 times in this tape. and they still put 32 Fairview Road, which is pretty interesting. They also don't put Brian Albert Sr.'s name on it. They just put B. Albert. He's the only one not listed out. But listen to what she says there. There's a man passed out in the snow. Now, keep in mind, who this man? No, she knows who this man is because Karen Reed has gotten out of the car already and said, "There's John," and they're literally looking for John. Not, it just would, and she doesn't want that to happen. So she goes on.
Yeah, I don't know why he did that.
I don't know why.
I think he said,
I don't know why. I think he fell. I think he slipped. I think she said. I don't know why he's there. She makes sure to point that out. I don't know how he got there. I don't know. And I don't know anything about that. And then,
Yeah. So it's hard to hear, but it basically, Jen McCabe's kind of going, I don't know how he got there. I don't know. Oh, okay. Well, thanks for being calm about it. And they're not outside. Remember when I said, when I read the interview with Jen McCabe, that they all got out of the car? Like, it sounded like, oh, let's go save John. You can hear the windshield wipers. They're casually talking about, I don't know how he got there. Did he fall? He slipped and fell. I don't know. Wow.
meanwhile, Karen's in the background yelling, "John, John."
I know. Where's the blanket? I don't see blanket, Carrie. Yes, I need some.
Where are the blankets, Carrie? Where are the blankets? Can't find the blankets, Carrie.
So the 911 dispatcher is probably saying, go get, is there any blankets that you can go get him, help him out, or something like that? And I don't see any blankets. Well, that's because your bitch ass is sitting there in the fucking SUV that you're in. How about that? It really makes me mad how obvious this case is, and that I have to go through these little details because trolls out there want to protect murders. So, I mean, we shouldn't be here. This should not be here. Court TV should have ripped this shit wide open and went with it, and they didn't. And this is why Turtle Boy is where he's at now, right?
The 911 dispatcher likely told her, "Are there any blankets? Can you get blankets?" And nothing to go inside, does nothing think to get him. She's like, Karen Reed can handle it. There it is, 34 Fairview Road in Canton again, she tells her. I mean, during this time, nothing, she has the phone in her hand. She can run into the house. She doesn't even tell the dispatcher that she's at her sister's house. You know why she doesn't tell the dispatcher that she's at her sister's house? Because she knows that the dispatcher will tell her to get your ass in the house and get the blankets. Get the guy inside. Get help. Do something. The more the merrier. Get people out here who can help. Don't just leave Kerry Roberts and Karen Reed alone in the snow with this person who's lying in the snow. This man in the snow.
I forgot to mention something for the people who are not aware. Nicole Albert is Brian Albert's wife and also the sister of Jen McCabe.
He's 46 years old. I thought that was weird too. Like the fact that she knows how old he is off the top of his head, like the exact age, just kind of weird. It just kind of, it's almost like I don't know what, I'm not suggesting anything with that, but that's just a weird detail to know, like on the fly. Not like, I think he's in his mid 40s, late 40s, something like that. Oh, he's 46. I know exactly how old he is. Okay.
I don't know. He got out of the car and it could be an hour. Carrie?
He got out of the car. I don't know. It could be an hour. Well, if you're Jen McCabe and that you know as a fact, according to police, you saw the car pull up there, Karen Reed's car pull up there at 12:30 and leave around 12:30, something like that. She said it left at 12:45. Sometimes she says 12:40, but she saw the car leave. So why would you think that he was only out there for an hour? Luck, but who else? This phone call. She did not plan this phone call out. She didn't think about the 911 call and what she was going to say. She didn't have her story completely straight yet. She says this before she gives the statements to police. She's so calm.
So Karen is screaming, Carrie, because she's freaking out. She's trying to save John's life. And they're just cool as a cucumber.
I can't wait to hear the full 911 call. Hear what the dispatcher said. Now Jen's yelling something there. She says Carrie 7 times. And I think she says Jen here.
I know, I'm on the phone with the ambulance.
I know. We get it. You're freaking out. Just chill out. We already know what probably really happened, but just you're making things worse for us, okay? We're already on the phone with dispatch.
I know that sound. I know that. Listen to the fear in her voice. That is the fear of desperation. That's like a soldier crying for his mommy on the battlefield. That is a woman who is looking at this man who lives with her and she loves, regardless of whether or not she's in a fight with him or not. She loves him. And she's just looking at his lifeless body and there's nothing she can do. All of her efforts to save his life, it's just not working. And in a desperate act of like, can someone else please save him? Carrie, there's got to be something we can do. Jen, please. But I bet you the dash cam videos are even crazier because you'll actually probably get to see Jen McCabe in the flesh and you'll see police. So we'll see what happens. Maybe they'll come out. Maybe they'll be introduced into trial and maybe they'll make Jen McCabe look like an even bigger monster. We shall see. You're not helping, Carrie says. Fuck off, Carrie.
What she actually says is, Carrie is telling this to Karen. Karen, you got to stop it. You're not helping anything. That's what she tells Karen. Whew. The rage I have for this woman.
Wait for it. You guys hear that? No one's coming out to help. That's what I hear. Keep in mind. So that is at the 3:37 mark. There is 3 minutes and 55 seconds between when Jen dials 911 and when she calls her sister Nicole Albert at 6:07. There's 3 minutes and 55 seconds. We are at the 3 minute and 340, whatever second, 41 mark, 341. So a lot of the detractors will say, well, that doesn't make sense. That couldn't be her calling Nicole, that little general dispatch center, regional police department, Canton 911. 20 seconds in to Jen's 911 call. Bottom line here is she's talking to her sister, Nicole, not a voicemail, talking to her sister, Nicole. And the phrase coming out to help is 100% uttered there. Listen to that. Coming out to help. And she whispers it. So that's two things there. She whispers and coming out to help. Why would you ever whisper in a situation like that? Why are you calling? So you're calling your sister. So that makes sense. If you were actually trying to get them to help, you would call, right? Help. So she's probably telling her, I'm guessing, that like someone else is coming to help. 911's coming to help. We don't get that one. So let me run through a couple of the quotes here. This is what Jen.
So it's very hard to hear. I do believe I have it on my channel, but I didn't want to pull that up right now. So Jim McCabe, calm as it gets. There's a man passed out in the snow. Then you have Carrie Roberts. Karen, you're not helping anything. And then you have Brian Albert and Nicole Albert. Again, Nicole Albert is Jen McCabe's sister. Never comes outside. Never. How about that? Why, you ask? I have no idea. It would be a great question that I'm sure if this keeps going, the defense would love to know. And we'll grill her on. Eve, check your text. Oh, my phone died. No wonder. Okay, I will. I'm going to go put it, I'm going to go charge it real fast. Give me just a second. You know what? I want to play, while I do that, I want to play one thing for you guys. I think it's good for you to see Karen Read and what you think about her version of events and her interview, that the Commonwealth really wanted those notes from the producers. They wanted to know all of the things about that interview because it didn't look really too good for them. And they thought that maybe they could catch her in some kind of sneaky shit that they're used to doing for themselves in the background of that interview off camera, right? Denied. That's all I'll say.
Outside this courthouse in Canton, Massachusetts, supporters swarmed around Karen Read, charged with murder in the January 2022 death of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John Okeefe. Read has strenuously denied the allegations.
I did not kill John Okeefe. I've never harmed a hair on John O'Keefe's head.
Her defense, bare-knuckled and bold, is making national headlines. Her lawyers alleging in court documents that a fellow police officer was involved in O'Keefe's death and colluded with other people in a cover-up.
You're alleging that law enforcement officials in this state committed murder and that they're covering it up. Why would they want to be involved in this?
Because he's dead. I think things went too far. It was late. There was alcohol involved, but they're all family. And there's many of them involved.
After posting bail, Read has spent much of the past 18 months in and out of court awaiting a trial date.
And me and my family and my attorneys and my team have marshaled every resource to get to the truth. It just feels like no one else wants it.
Prosecutors allege that Read hit Okeefe with her car after getting into an argument earlier in the day, leaving him to die in the middle of a snowstorm in January 2022. But Read says she had no reason to harm her boyfriend.
I would call him the patron saint of Canton. He was just very selfless, frugal, and I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone that didn't care for John.
The couple first dated in their 20s and reconnected more than a decade later in the middle of the pandemic.
So how did you meet up again?
He had reached out to me on Facebook, and he said, "Hey, blast from the past, how's things?" And when I saw his picture, his profile picture was with several young children, and then it triggered my memory that his sister and his sister's husband had passed away. And he told me, "Yeah, I have the kids now." I admired that. I thought that was amazing.
What a nice. John Okeefe was an amazing man to do that. His sister and her husband passed away, leaving 2 kids behind, and John adopted them. What an amazing man. And she thought that that was good qualities in him. And for her to see that, and for her to, join back, get back with him later, there's going to be issues. There's going to be fights, that's a tough thing to have to come back into. I couldn't imagine. And that was part of the strain that she'll explain on the interview, that their relationship was going through. She felt like she was taking on a lot more, and that is totally 100% normal. That is what happens. As an ex-stepmother, I know she's not wrong in that. So a lot of people want to attack her for saying these things, because there's some rumors on Twitter from people who think that they know what she feels or says behind the scenes. But this is not uncommon. And this situation is actually very particular in a sense that he's adopting his niece and nephew after a tragedy that his sister passed away, and her husband. So just think about that.
Soon, Reed says she became part of the family, often sleeping over at Okeefe's house and helping take care of the kids.
He would go to work, and I would stay with his niece and nephew. All of the breaks that the kids had, we did something.
But their relationship also had its struggles. Reeve says Okeefe had been relying more on her to take care of the kids, and that he criticized some of the decisions she made with them.
We had an argument on New Year's Eve. We were away on vacation, and he became incoherently drunk. And I ended up ringing in the new year with his niece and nephew. John didn't come back to our room till after 3 a.m. So that was rough. I felt very much taken advantage of. He apologized profusely for what happened on New Year's Eve, and he said, "If you can't get over it, then you need to spend some time at yours. I can't keep apologizing. I don't want to keep rehashing this."
A few weeks later, they were invited to meet up with some friends at the Waterfall Bar in Canton. And there, they ran into Brian Albert, a fellow Boston police officer who Reed says Okeefe looked up.
Now, reminder, that is the homeowner's, the owner of 34 Meadows, where John Okeefe was found. So that's what he looks like. But, it's very interesting that you never get to see Brian much. You don't really see him much. You see Chris, though.
Up to. Albert had led the city's gang unit before commanding the Fugitive Apprehension Team. It was the elite squad responsible for taking down some of the city's most dangerous criminals and featured in the 2013 TNT show, Boston's Finest.
1 minute we're walking around, everything's fine, and then 1 minute it's not fine.
Both times I met Brian Albert, he seemed like the type of person that you'd be surprised he's out socially, because he doesn't seem like he ever wants to be there.
But at the bar, Reed says there...
God, I'm sorry. 34 Fairview. Sorry. I had whatever I said on a little sticky pad right here.
Was an invitation to continue hanging out at Albert's home.
I said, "Can we make sure we're welcome here?" Nobody extended the invite to me. I didn't hear the invite extended to you.
They drive to the Alberts' house. What happens next is disputed.
Yes, I did.
I pull at the foot of the driveway. It's snowing. John has no coat on. It's windy. So I drop him off. He goes up the driveway and approaches the side door. And as I see him approach the door, I look down at my phone.
Reed says after about 10 minutes of waiting in her car, she became irritated that Okeefe still hadn't gotten in touch with her. And she drove back to his home where she continued calling him before, she says, she fell asleep around 1:30 in the morning. She then says she woke up before 5 a.m. He still wasn't home. She then started canvassing the neighborhood.
Just gonna drive around in the 2 square miles that we spent the preceding night.
After 20 minutes of unsuccessful searching, she called John's friend, Carrie Roberts, and Jennifer McCabe, Brian Albert's sister-in-law, who was also at his house the night before.
I could probably imagine that this is the look that he has had since that night. I'm pretty sure he's wearing that permanently, as he should. So, do you hear this? How connected everybody is. If they're not family or in-laws or whatever, they grew up together, they're best friends, their kids have best friends with each other. I mean, these people are connected to each other. It's very obvious. The only one that isn't, ironically, is Ryan Nagel, which you'll hear. And he's the one that saw, wait for it, nothing. He saw nothing nefarious when allegedly Karen hit John Okeefe with her Lexus. The one that really matters from an eyewitness standpoint, as we know it. He saw nothing in regards to his death. What he did see was Karen in the car by herself and did not see John. And that was that. How about that? Lord.
The three women together now headed to Albert's home.
How soon was it when you pulled in there that you saw John's body?
Immediately. And what struck me when I saw him was his mouth was open a little bit and his eyes were shut and he had spots of blood in different areas on his face.
Okeefe was taken to the hospital and pronounced dead. He died from blunt force trauma and hypothermia. And it wasn't long before Reed became the #1 suspect. Authorities say they had noticed a cracked taillight after they seized her car.
I had told both Jen and Carrie that I cracked my taillight. I said I just hit my car on top of everything, but I didn't look at the damage. And both women said, it's cracked, it's cracked. Calm down, you cracked your taillight. You're okay, let's go look for John.
But according to police statements, Jennifer McCabe told authorities that while they were looking for Okeefe, Reed stated, "Could I have hit him? Did I hit him?" And when Okeefe's body was discovered, first responders who arrived on the scene say they overheard Reed make other statements.
Firefighter said that you said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
I said.
So you're going to, I'm going to skip this part because it's ridiculous, but I will tell you what was said and how this EMS and firefighter is related. They're related. They're related to someone in the house. Ridiculous. So she has a reason to fabricate, maybe, or hear incorrectly, if you will. And she's going to tell you exactly what she said and what she means.
Said I hit him. It was preceded by a did and proceeded by a question mark. What I thought could have happened was that did I incapacitate him unwittingly, somehow, and then in his drunkenness, passed out?
When you walked out of the bar, how many drinks had you had?
I had had probably about 4.
The Commonwealth says that you had 9 drinks that night. That's what the prosecution says.
I don't believe they're saying I wasn't in my right mind.
They're saying you were intoxicated. Is it possible that you might have hit him unwittingly in your admittedly very large SUV?
No, not possible.
3 days after Okeefe was found dead, investigators arrested Reed for manslaughter. She was eventually indicted on second-degree murder.
Okay, so you heard her version of events, and there's a little bit more about the court hearing, which is beautiful. That hearing is amazing. It really is. We'll get to that So what do you think about Karen? I want to see your comments. I want to know what you think so far. And don't do it cuz I think that she's innocent. Or don't say things just because it's going to please the masses. What do you think? I'd love to know. And for the replayers out there, put it in the comments. Let's jump to, because I am running out of time, unfortunately. Heard the text I just got. Let's go over that quickly. So Jackson and Yannetti, the defense attorneys for Karen Read, are amazing. And they pretty much, in my opinion, owned the shit out of the Commonwealth. You will hear Lunchbox Lally, he was a dumbass, speak about things that, like DNA evidence and the delay, not getting back to the defense properly, all of these things. And he always has an excuse and an answer for it, even though it's crap. But the biggest one that I want you guys to hear is Jen McCabe Googling House Long to Die in the Cold at 2:27 a.m. Yeah. Because, guys, she has court tomorrow. And this is why I wanted to go over these things. She has a court hearing tomorrow. And it's a very important one. We're all hoping, of course, that magically somehow the charges are going to be dismissed. We always want to hear that. I doubt it. She deserves it. But we need to know, because of all the bullshit that's happened and the evidence has still yet to be given to the defense, Karen Read's defense, after 2 years, guys, when it should be just so easy. It really is. They caught Lally in a lie, saying that he was communicating with the lab to get evidence back, and he never really did. He never followed up with them. There's timelines on this DNA stuff, guys. They don't just keep it forever in hopes that, oh, if you need it, we got it. We're going to store it for you. No, that costs money, a lot of money. If you're using, an outside testing service or a third party. So that's what you got to consider, right? But he just sat on his hands. So let's watch it. And Turtle Boy, you're going to see him in the background. Watch his face. It's amazing. Fucking fantastic.
Here for the Rule 17 motions. Who's going to argue those?
So, Your Honor, there are two motions before the court that we'd like to be heard on. One is the motion to renew our motions to compel, which we'd like to be heard on first, if the court pleases. And I would be arguing that motion. With regard to the Rule 17 motion for the animal control records, my colleague, Mr. Jackson, would be arguing that second, if the court pleases.
Okay. All right, I'll hear you.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. We are seeking immediate access to John Okeefe's clothing, to all evidence seized from my client's vehicle, to tissue and other samples from John Okeefe's autopsy, and to the original Canton Library video, which we still do not have. We are asking this court specifically to set a hard deadline for access to this mandatory discovery and evidence. Your Honor, at the outset, it is important for me to emphasize why a deadline needs to be set. It's important to emphasize why time is of the essence for our access to this evidence. It's been 15 months since my client was arrested and falsely charged with killing John Okeefe. Prior to 15 months ago, my client was employed in two prestigious positions. Prior to 15 months ago, she had a robust health insurance plan that covered her numerous serious medical conditions. But 15 months ago, she lost everything. 15 months ago, these false allegations began to destroy her life, and for the last 15 months, she has been fighting for her life. 15 months after her arrest, she has no income. She does not come from a wealthy family. Her father was a respected and now...
I don't know if anybody knows, like maybe Sleuthy, if she's still watching, but Why does everybody act this way in court on this side? Like, what is all of this? I've always wondered what the hell was going on. Like, is somebody threatening? I don't know. G Girl says, if the bald guy was involved, Brian Albert, in any way, he'll never be charged. He seems too well liked. Not anymore. Intimidation. That makes a lot of sense. He looks familiar. Is that John O'Keefe's family? Is that his brother? One of the brothers? And I don't know who that is, but damn.
So this hour, we're bringing you Wednesday's pre-trial hearing.
She says, did you hear the one lady on, I believe, Court TV where she says state started this because her first hearing, the court was packed with cops in order to intimidate. It does not surprise me in the slightest, but I do remember that. I do.
For well over an hour. That evidence needs to be put to the test, and it needs to be put to the test now. We have been prohibited from testing it, from inspecting it, from even seeing it. There were tissues and other samples from the autopsy of John Okeefe to which we've been denied access. We believe that when those samples are tested, the results will be exculpatory, likely case ending, despite the fact that multiple searches initially turned up nothing. Pieces of the taillight were only found after Trooper Michael Proctor, conflicted Michael Proctor, had seized my client's vehicle and had it in his possession for well over an hour. That evidence needs to be put to the test, and it needs to be put to the test now. We have been prohibited from testing it, from inspecting it, from even seeing it. There were tissues and other samples from the autopsy of John Okeefe to which we've been denied access. We believe that when those samples are tested, the results will be exculpatory, likely put to the test now. We have been prohibited from testing it, from inspecting it, from even seeing it. There were tissues and other samples from the autopsy of John Okeefe to which we've been denied access. We believe that when those samples are tested, the results will be exculpatory, likely case ending.
And they still haven't received that evidence report, nor have they been able to test it on their own because of the refusal of the Commonwealth to hand it over. The DA's office. Game over. Game over. She added it in the last minute, right when they were getting ready to leave. They were talking about the turtle. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
But 15 months after she was arrested and 11 months after she was arraigned in this court, that evidence remains hidden from the defense. The police have maintained exclusive control over the event data recorder and the Lexus infotainment system from my client's vehicle. We have seen neither, and this is simply unacceptable. Prohibiting the defense from inspecting this evidence is infringing on my client's constitutional right to a speedy trial, and it's infringing on her right to due process. It's almost 3 months ago that we last appeared before you, Your Honor. We requested access to these items, and yet again, the response from the Commonwealth was that they would be tested soon. The prosecutor had represented within 30 to 60 days. That's on record. It's now close to 90 days. We've made zero progress. This court did order that the Commonwealth request expedited testing, but that order has yielded nothing. I asked the court to set deadlines then, which the court was not inclined to do. 3 months later, it is crystal clear that deadlines need to be set. Without a deadline, we have no assurances that this case will not drag on who knows how long into the future. With each passing day, my client, who not only is presumed to be innocent, but is factually innocent, remains jobless, with inadequate health insurance, and with each passing day, her savings and her family's savings continue to be depleted. There is no time to wait. There is no time to waste. It is time for excuses to end. As we noted in our motion, the prosecution and the crime lab move very quickly when they want to. In other cases pending before this very court, the very same investigators secured DNA testing within 2 weeks of opening their investigation before anybody was charged. Contrast that with our case, where here we are 15 months later, no such testing has even started. Regarding the Canton Library video, this court should know we still do not have relevant time periods. From the Commonwealth's evidence, we know that my client drove by the Canton Library at 12:16 a.m. on January 29th because that was recorded. There is video of her driving by at that time, heading to 34 Fairview, which is where John Okeefe died, with her taillight intact. We know that my client arrived back at John O'Keefe's residence at 1 Meadows Ave in Canton at 12:41 a.m. because the Commonwealth produced a voicemail that she left for John, where you can hear the garage door closing, the car door closing, the house door closing while she walked in her high heels on the garage floor. 1 Meadows is about a mile from the Canton Library. We know the video equipment was working because they have that footage from 12:16 a.m.
Boom. Think about that statement. I don't even, like, I always do this, but I'm like, I don't even think we need to go over shit. Because that is just a slam dunk if they would have provided that missing 2 minutes of the library footage that has the camera footage that has her tail light intact. But guess what's missing out of all that time? The 2 minutes. Damn. How about that? That would show the tail light being intact, the one that's shattered all over the place. Sprinkle, sprinkle. All up in John O'Keefe's clothes that were literally on the floor. Literally on the floor with Michael Proctor's doofy ass feet. Damn near in it. I should probably pull that up. The medical examiner's photos. Trigger warning. It's going to have injuries that John O'Keefe suffered. But I think it's necessary for you to see that. I really do. Good time to show you. Alexis did this, by the way. Trigger warning. You have been warned. You have been warned. Damn you, Doc. His website's crazy. Okay. There's John O'Keefe. Do these injuries right off the bat look like to you someone that got hit by Alexis at 24 miles an hour going backwards? No. Not to me. What about you? What do you think? Yep. Yep. He's got bruising on the back of his hand. Maybe from potentially putting his hand up to protect himself. I don't know. Gash on the back of his head. The kicker. How did he get these scratch marks? I don't know. Does anybody that has not followed this case, if you could put what you think these are without Googling it, without looking it up, what does that look like to you? I actually want to see what people say. Jeep, what do you think? I know you haven't heard of this case much, so what do you think those are? I would love to hear you. Your consensus on this, if you were to guess. Jeep has literally no idea about this case. Little tip, if you put the page on Reader View, oh yeah, that's right. I did find that out. Thank you for reminding me. It won't make you want to throw your computer. No shit. It looks like he was attacked by multiple people and beat down. Yeah. Looks like scrapes, eh? Yeah. But I'll wait. This is how his blood was collected. Red Solo cups. I'll fill you up with corruption. It's really like slashes and cuts. Yeah. Not from a plow, I wouldn't think. Not from a snow plow. Does anybody know how a snow plow works? The reason I say this is because Lucky Logren, excuse me. Poor Lucky. They think that the 2:30 a.m. snowplower did it with his snowplow. Yeah. I really don't know how a snowplow works. I'm from the South. We do not have snow. Hardly ever. Uses a blade to push snow to the side to clear it from a surface. That, they literally think, these trolls out here think that he got scooped up by a snowplow and launched it onto the to the yard, creating that. I never really had to Google it to know that that was bullshit. Like I never had to look it up. But now that I'm looking it up, Wendy, you fucking idiot. Okay. Sorry, excuse me. That's just ridiculous. Getting back on track here. That's how they collected blood evidence, y'all. Ouch. Never seen something like that in my life. If you don't have any evidence bags and you forget to take photos like Michael Proctor did, and if you don't enter it into evidence at all until way later, red Solo cups are the way to go. We'll get to it when we get to it. No contamination here. Fuck. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Good old Brian never left the house to come outside and check. Yeah.
But in the video that the prosecution turned over to us, there is a gap in that video from 12:37 a.m. to 12:39 a.m., which would have been the precise time my client would have been driving back past the library. We know that that footage would show that my client's taillight was still intact at that point because she never struck John Okeefe with her vehicle. Yet the prosecution has produced a video from the library with that crucial time period missing. This evidence is strictly in their possession. We've been told that the Canton police provided the evidence to them via a share file. I'm sorry, the Canton library provided this evidence to them via a share file link with a guest ID and a guest password. We need that link, that user ID, and that password. We cannot rely on Trooper Michael Proctor, conflicted Michael Proctor, to sanitize exculpatory evidence before sending it to us. We need the original.
He said, don't sanitize it. Damn, he called him out. I forgot he said that. He goes, before Michael Proctor can sanitize it, because that's what he does with everything else that comes his way and of evidentiary value that would exonerate Karen Reed and justify her innocence. We need that username and password. I doubt they've gotten it. That would prove that the footage that the library said was there when they gave it to the Commonwealth, or gave it to Michael Proctor, who gave it to the DA, excuse me. Where did it go? Who scrubbed it?
Original footage. If the Commonwealth answers that that original footage no longer exists, then we'll need an evidentiary hearing to put the relevant parties under oath to find out what happened to it. The bottom line here, Your Honor, is that we've spent 15 months trying to uncover the truth. We are not afraid of whatever evidence is unearthed from whatever source, because for 15 months, every stitch of evidence has been consistent with my client's innocence. However long this case lasts, and I sure hope the prosecution comes to their senses and realizes they have no case because they've charged the wrong person. But however long this case lasts, the remaining evidence will drive a stake through the heart of this prosecution. In the meantime, my client suffers. In the meantime, her life is on hold. While she's
like Dracula, bro. I love this man. He is. I just love the way he talks. And he's very. Do you know how hard it is for a defense to present a case like this of police corruption? Do you know how hard that is just without any evidence? Or a little bit or a hunch. It's impossible. You're fucked. But there's so much of it that not only is he explaining it way better than I ever could, but he's also making kind of fun of these fucking assholes. He is very serious. I think that they have so much evidence. I think that it's so overwhelming that there's other cases and there's other things from the past that these people in the DA's office and in the Canton Police Department and Massachusetts State Police, for that matter, they've done so much shady shit that they're going to have to go back. The FBI is actually investigating the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office. They're investigating the investigation of Karen Reed and the murder of John Okeefe. Okay, they're looking at it. There's probably a trail that leads back to so many other things. And it's going to take a very long time for them to go and process through that. They're not going to confirm anything with anyone. And I think that he already had an inkling of this from the looks on their faces from back in August. And the looks of all of these motherfuckers back here, they're scared as hell. These people are terrified back here because they might just be involved too. Everybody is shaking so hard that now I understand the gravity of the situation. And what I know, this is really bad. People's lives are going to be torn apart. I mean, no wonder they wanted Aidan Kearney to pay for exposing this specific case, because honest to God, I never understood why it was so important for them to go so hardcore in the paint. I didn't. They could have done this a completely different way, gone at this a completely different way, but something happened. John Okeefe knew something. Something happened where bigger things were going to be exposed, in my opinion, unwittingly maybe to John. I don't know, but there is something that just is outside of this case with John and Karen that is coming to light with the help of Turtle Boy and with the help of other people coming forward, etc. And I cannot wait to know what that is. The curious button in me. And not only that, but Canton citizens. Norfolk County deserves better. John Okeefe deserves better. His family deserves justice. Karen needs to be exonerated. Period. And I really want to know. I really want to know. It makes me think of the time that the evidence lockers were, the evidence was investigated, how it was being handled. Not only that, but the death of a fellow officer. A woman was murdered. A female police officer, in my opinion. But she died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. That Morrissey from the DA's office that we speak on was involved in. There is something bigger. KB All Day says, accurate. Thank you. I cannot wait to know.
Spends every waking.
So, the prosecution, Lunchbox Lally, is going to go on and on about his excuses and blah, blah, blah. So let's jump in, because I am running out of time. Let's jump into, real fast, the How Long to Die in the Cold Google search. Lunchbox Lally says, oh, that could be explained. Jennifer does an internet search for How Long to Die in the Cold. Experts on the defense side basically says, no, she really did search for that at 2:27. She really did. Not only that, she did it again at 6:04. And she does it again. Jennifer, 6:23, excuse me, I apologize. Jennifer does an internet search for how long does it take to digest food, because that's the suggested search that comes up when you search for how long. Like when it auto populates, we all know. And then look how she spells it at 6:23, like literally, oops, that didn't work. How long? Tie dye and cold. Wow. She doesn't delete those. She deletes that search at 2:27 a.m. Oh, no. No, I am not kidding you, Brett. I am not kidding you, honey. Yet we're sitting here having to talk about this shit 2 years later. Because this is conflicting for major news media. Wow, right? This is why we're here, if you think about it. The only reason why Turtle Boy is even involved, as hard as he is because the media does not want to talk about corruption, and they don't want to talk about corrupt cops. They don't want to talk about hardcore shit like that. Well, yeah, because look at what happened. People are getting threats. Chris Albert, who has a son named Colin Albert, who they didn't want to put him at the house that night, but he is, and he was at the house that night, which is who I think they're protecting at the end of the day. A cop's brother's son, his little nephew, who's a punk. He got summoned, grand jury summons, which places him at the house. His daddy had to tell the grand jury the truth, right? Except for he really doesn't, because he says, but he was gone before anybody came over to the house. Okay. Why did you call someone to come and give you a ride when people were already arriving, including John Okeefe? So long story short, where are we at now? The defense puts motions in regarding a protective order pertaining to the Commonwealth's notice of discovery. What is that, you might say? And I am jumping ahead because I'm running out of time. Literally have 10 minutes. I'm going to wrap up. But on the afternoon of December 4th, 2023, Defense Counsel received the Commonwealth's notice of discovery in 6 letters. This is so important. 6 letters containing communications between the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, the United States Attorney's Office, and the United States Department of Justice Office of Professional Responsibility. They look at corrupt cases such as, what we're talking about. That's what they do. The Commonwealth then filed an associated motion for protective order seeking to prevent any of these communications from being disseminated to members of the public, aka we do not want the public to know about these documents. Again, I told you about the FBI probe that was exposed on the DA's office. The same evening, Boston 25 News was scheduled to air 25 Investigates segment by reporter Ted Daniel, who finally came around. Thank you, Ted. Titled Norfolk DA Pushing Back on Federal Probe of Karen Reed Case. In the televised segment, Mr. Daniel noted that Boston 25 News has submitted Freedom of Information requests and were denied by them on the basis of claimed privileged attorney work product, confidential personnel information, and connections to an ongoing criminal investigation. These points were mirrored in the Commonwealth's motion for protective order, which similarly claims that the letters contained opinion work product, inter or intra-agency memoranda, and are exempt from Massachusetts public records law. Curiously, in a notice of discovery, unlike any counsel has seen before, the NDAO references and apparently quotes portions of the correspondence between U.S. Attorney Josh Levy and First Assistant District Attorney Lynn Bayland. The footnote on these on the motion, the Commonwealth's public notice of discovery, states that on November 3rd, they talked to each other. Okay, skip all the bullshit. Lynn Bayland essentially reiterated his position and stated that in the June 12th, 2023 response that he understands the Norfolk District Attorney's Office has important discovery obligations and will be back in touch with this First Assistant Lynn as circumstances dictate. It would appear then that the Commonwealth does want some of the contents of the letters to be disseminated to the public. So what I'm trying to get at is that the Commonwealth only wants portions that make them look good. Remember when I talked about that earlier? They want only portions of the documents that the FBI probe is probing. Let's just say that. They only want what makes them look good. And then everything else, let's get a protective order on because the public's going to lose their fucking minds. More than likely, if those letters get out. Let's just be real here. This is why you need to know what's going on in your communities, including who's running them, even the district attorney, who you think, is fair and just. No. Mm-mm. Not always. So basically, it's the right for the public to be privy to this information. If it's not, then everything has to be under the protective order, basically, is what the defense is stating. It's all or nothing. You can't have both sides. You can't pick and choose what you want out there and what not. That's just not how it works. And they know this. So the notice of discovery, there are 6 letters, right, that were produced to the defense. They should be able to see everything, at least the defense, okay? Now, Ted Daniel got this denied. This is what kind of started all of this shit. Ted Daniel from Boston 25 Investigates was denied this information, which the defense acted upon, right? So those 6 letters were produced to the defense. And the First Assistant Bayland's letters fishing for federal grand jury materials under the guise of fulfilling NDAO's discovery obligations to Miss Reed and USA Levy's response comprise only half of the letters produced to the defense, and the Commonwealth has captioned the other 3 letters as follows. This just cracks me up because it's like, wow, you pieces of shit. Norfolk District Attorney Michael Morrissey, who that's the DA, letter to the United States Department of Justice, Office of Professional Responsibility. So he just titles them, okay? In the footnotes, the United States Department of Justice response. So they respond to him. And then his letter to Jody Cohen, special agent in charge of the FBI, where he's like, this should be moved out of the... This should be investigated elsewhere. This isn't fair, blah, blah, blah. Titling there is enough. I couldn't believe it. I'm on Twitter going, you sons of bitches. I can't believe you thought that would work. Oh my God. It's really bad though. That's not good. I mean, Canton, citizens of Norfolk County, you should be so mad and fuming out of the ears that this is what's going on and this is the games they're playing with a woman's life and justice for a man who was killed. Like, God, this is beyond just, Karen's case. It could be you, it could be your daughter, it could be your cousin, it could be your uncle, it could be anybody you love. at any point in time being fucked over and railroaded by people who are supposed to uphold the law ethically. This is a big deal. So the Commonwealth apparently wants to release the portions of these letters that it perceives as favorable while preventing the rest from being disseminated to the public. The Commonwealth cannot have it both ways. Either the letters should be disclosed in full or not at all. Because the letters do not contain opinion work product and are not exempt from public disclosure, the Commonwealth's motion for protective orders should be denied. Absolutely. So that's what the hearing is going to be. I'm sure this is going to be part of tomorrow's hearing. In its motion for protective order, the Commonwealth cites a number of purported reasons why the letters should not or cannot be disseminated publicly. Blah, blah, blah. Of course, we know we should be able to see what's going on with y'all's corrupt asses. So they're trying to get that grand jury information about the FBI probe, basically, while also trying to make it look like we're working with them. We're working with the FBI by quoting these missing 3 pages because, it's evidentiary in nature. Bullshit. You're scared because you got busted. They spanked your little white fannies and everybody's going down. If they'll treat the death of an officer this way, how will they treat the death of a regular citizen? Absolutely. Turtle Boy said it best. What if Karen was a minority? What if Karen had zero money, $0, just an average person and or a minority, specifically African American? This would not make headlines at all. If it be case closed, boom, and an innocent person goes to prison for the rest of their lives. Period. They're trying to shape it like they needed that info to turn it over to the defense instead of being nosy because they're shitting themselves. Yes. And instead of them coming out and being big boys and big girls and saying what the reality is, they use trolls that hate Turtle Boy, who originally exposed this for what it is. And they are horrible at it. I have had a blast the last week just rattling their cages. I got Chris Albert in my comments, in my tweets. I'm flexing there because he has looked like the jackass he is many times. And keep on talking, because you already slipped. Not necessarily Chris Albert, but things are kind of leaking out there. It's quite amazing. So I'm really, really, really excited about tomorrow's hearing and see what they say about this. I really hope the judge isn't a corrupt piece of shit. Jen McCabe does not want to have her phone details leaked, I'm sure. She's holding on to that phone for dear life, my God. But too bad, Jen McCabe, because Verizon handed over the data so that the defense can accurately review that information without sanitation. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Yeah, Auntie Bev. Well, I think she came around. Auntie Bev is the judge that originally she was very shitty to the defense and unfair. She denied an evidentiary hearing, which is bullshit. But I digress. I think she's come around. We'll see. Motion to quash subpoena, Jen McCabe, a.k.a. No, you don't need my phone. You don't need nothing. I don't need to compel. Well, too bad, because Verizon has provided all that the defense needs. So, all right. I think we're going to leave it there. all I can tell Brian Albert and everyone connected to what happened that morning or night, whatever time it was, the jig is up. In my opinion, the jig is up. Just let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Who's going to roll? Did Brian Higgins, did he roll? Who was the one that really tipped this whole thing off? I don't know. You're done. You're done. And I think we could learn more, not only from Karen's hopefully soon to be exoneration and justice for John, but we can learn from this case. It's going to be historical, y'all. Please keep up with this. Please do. Watch other creators like The Glare, LTL, True Crime, Turtle Boy. Do whatever it takes, because you're going to learn a lot about how to protect yourself from corruption within your own communities. It's important. These people got away with shit for so long and thought that they were so righteous and entitled to do so. And look where they are. And look how far it may go. Look how many other people have to lose their jobs or get harmed by these fuckers. Enough is enough. Sleuthy says, some of the mamas here need to save themselves and their babies and leave everyone else in the dust. Cut a deal. Agreed. I hope they have. And stop involving themselves because they hate Aiden Kearney. Stop involving yourself in, like, for instance, if you have 4 kids, quit being a shell for the prosecution. Special prosecution. I digress, guys. Thank you so much for watching me. I'm hoping to be back on track again like I used to be. I was way better than this in a sense of getting everything together, but I have been suffering from, I think, COVID. Pretty sure. So it's tough. The confusion. Have y'all ever heard of the COVID confusion? It's so bad. Oh my God. All right, guys. You know, as I say, drink your water, love yourself, hug your fur babies, your grandbabies. Let's get justice for John Okeefe and exonerate Karen Read and put these fuckers to shame. Have a good night. Bye.